Borachot habaot, ladies, and welcome to the viewers on Torah Anytime. Thank you so much for coming out to Teaneck, New Jersey on this rainy night. On this blessed rainy night, because when the rain falls, things begin to grow. So things are happening under the ground in the foundation that we don't know about. I just want to say that this shiur is dedicated, first of all, Leilu Nishmat Linda Chaya Bat Chana, Shishrav Nilui Neshama, for the refuah shlema of Daniel Ben Chana, Shalom Ben Menachem, Ruth Bat Rosa, and also Ilona Sarah Bat Anna, as well as for Shiduch Zivug Agun from Miriam Bat Sarah Shtichye. And just letting everybody know, we're also going to dedicate the shiur to the tzaddik whose yahrzeit was today, Rav Chaim Vital, alav shalom, the student, the revered student of the Ari HaKadosh, his yahrzeit was today. So it's still not too late, because the presence of the tzaddik comes 3 days before the yahrzeit, 3 days after. You could still light ner neshama for him if you want.
Do you mind adding Leilu Nishmat Rivka Bat Chana?
Leilu Nishmat Rivka Bat Chana. And of course we know it was just Pesach now, and we began counting up to Shavuot. We have these 50 days of counting to that grand day. And I figured I wanted to prepare you and elevate you. Hello, Brucha Ba, look at this VIP seat. Just for you. Prepare you to elevate yourselves to that grand day. So I'm going to begin with a question. And the question is, what are the characteristics of a woman who's lovesick? Chachamim say, she pledges her allegiance and she commits. And that's something that she does with feeling rather than with thought. But do you know why she pledges her allegiance and she commits? Chachamim tell us, so that anyone who wants to convince her otherwise is not going to succeed. Because it could very well be that the love she feels for her beloved is simply a matter of the heart. And that's something that may not seem logical to an outsider looking in. Think of what happened at Har Sinai all those years ago. We stood at the foot of the mountain and we were suddenly bombarded with a multitude of laws. And if we could ask ourselves, was it really worth making a commitment to the laws of kashrut? Was it worth pledging our allegiance to the observance of Shabbat? But we pledged our allegiance to HaKadosh Baruch Hu nonetheless. Why? Because we loved him so much. So today, we're going to learn about the love of Torah that every Jew feels, about the love of Yerushalayim, and the love of Am Yisrael, specifically Benot Yisrael. Now, if we analyze it from an objective perspective and we ask ourselves, what do people out there in the world think about the Torah? And the answer is, they think that our religion is outdated and old-fashioned. They think our religion doesn't believe in equality or the basic human rights. And no matter how hard we try to explain our feelings to those people, somehow the explanations fail us. Not only that, but those people out there think that you have to explain it to them, and they don't realize that when it comes to love, it just can't be explained. Love doesn't have explanations. The moment you have to explain it, it's no longer love. That's something we read in Shir HaShirim, the greatest love song that was written by Shlomo HaMelech alav shalom, which depicts the love of Am Yisrael towards Hashem and his love for us. And in this song, they ask the young maiden who's in love, listen to these words, Ma dodech midod hayafa banashim. Tell me, young maiden, what is your beloved more than any other beloved? This young maiden is asked, why are you so crazy about this young man over all the other young men? This young woman loves him. Every day she sees him through dreamy eyes. And when she is asked, what do you see about him that you don't see in anybody else? She doesn't really know how to answer. She says, Taltalim shchorot ka'orev. He's got nice black curls like a crow. But there are many men out there with black curls. What do you see in him? She says, I don't know. I'm simply in love. Ani ledodi vedodi li. You can't explain love. You just can't. And that's the kind of love that Am Yisrael felt as they stood at the foot of Har Sinai. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh Alav Shalom provides us with 42 logical explanations as to why the Torah is emet and why a Jew should cling to it with all his might. And he gives us a few examples. He says, first of all, the Torah HaKadosha is a monetary protector. Hello, Bocha Ba'ah, good to see you. Good to see you. Come on in. He says, first of all, the Torah is a monetary protector, and if we heed its statutes, we'll never lack for anything. Secondly, the Torah heals the spirit as well as the physical body. The Torah protects us and saves us. And these are just a few examples that are cited by the Or HaChaim. But guess what? After all the 42 explanations that the Or HaChaim provides, he relinquishes his thoughts and he says that if people really knew the sweetness and the depth of Torah, people would be crazy over it, just like those who are love-struck. That's his words. In other words, when it comes to the love of Torah, no explanations are necessary. You don't have to come with 42 logical ways why you love Hashem, why you love Torah, why it's good to love. It's something you just can't explain. And we see this idea in a song that's become very popular. It's also from Shir HaShirim. Remember the famous song? Im timtzeu et odi. Remember that song? Ma tagidu lo. Shlomo HaMelech asks, if you find my beloved, what are you going to tell him? And then it continues, Shecholat avani. I am lovesick over him. That's when. And there are simply no explanations for how I feel. Cholat avani. I'm lovesick. That's why so many of us can't explain the love that we feel for Torah and for the Rabbano Shel Olam. This is why our explanations often fail us. Chachamim teach us, when the Jews received the Torah on Har Sinai, the impurity of the Nachash HaKadmoni ceased to exist. Now, what is this impurity of the Nachash? And Chachamim tell us, well, first of all, you have to know that a Nachash is something or someone who attempts to find some kind of deceit in Yahadut. The Nachash told Chava, listen, Chava, I can understand that you're not permitted to eat from the Etz Hadat, but why can't you touch it? Why? Because it's forbidden. And he says, but you can touch it. God said you can't eat from the tree, but surely you're allowed to touch it. The Nachash began looking for all kinds of excuses and justifications. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the Midrash says that Hashem said at that moment, this is Zohama. That's what impurity looks like. It's when you start to look for all kinds of justifications to make something that is asur, mutar. So Chachamim say, so what should have Chava answered the Nachash? She should have said, listen, Mr. Nachash, in all honesty, I don't really understand why I can't eat from this tree or even touch it. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded it, and I love him. Cholat ahava ani, and that's why I'm going to follow Hashem's instructions. It's as simple as that. I can't explain it, but I love Hashem. So, it's so important to understand this point, ladies. Why am I saying this? Because many Jews, unfortunately, give the impression that Torah and religious observance is a burden. You know why not enough people love the Torah, and why they don't appreciate the Jews who sincerely devote themselves to Torah? Because we're not displaying the lovesick bug. We're not saying words like, Cholat ahava ani, I love Hashem so much. The holy Chazon Ish alav hashalom asks, when someone wants to know, why are you holding on strong to Torah and to Hashem? You know what's the greatest explanation you could give that person? He says, when people will see you learning Torah with such fervor and excitement, when they see you doing the mitzvot with enthusiasm and with love, no explanations are going to be necessary. You don't need to explain it, because your love is in itself the greatest explanation you could provide to anybody out there. A person could see the love of Hashem in your eyes and in your actions. That's one of the reasons we decorate the house on Shavuot with flowers. You know, we decorate the house with flowers. We're supposed to. And after we place the oh, you didn't know? You didn't know? You do know. So you know who we're going to. Wait, this is the advertisement for you. Hey, I'm so happy I have this opportunity. Ladies out there at Torah Anytime. Sitting here at this table is the one and only, the famous Malka Newman, who has an amazing business of flower decorating and designs, and she does all kinds of affairs, catering affairs, and especially to the men out there, you have to know to buy flowers for your wife on Shavuot. Malkita Designs, what's your phone number?
917 436
9009. Call her. And Malka, you're giving out discounts? 10%, 5%?
For the people from Torah Anytime.
From the people, if you call and you say you saw this shoe on Torah Anytime, you get
10% discount.
10% off. Great. So, after we place the flowers all over the house, we say the following words from Sefer Tehillim. We say, Shetulim bevet Hashem, planted in the houses of Hashem, bechatzot Elokenu yafrichu, they shall all flourish in the courtyards of Hashem. You know what we're implying? Shetulim bevet Hashem. We're saying that at the moment that we'll be planted with feelings of excitement, basking in the joy of our Torah, you know what's going to happen? The rest of the pasuk. Od yenuvun beseva, they will yet grow old in age. Deshanim vera'ananim yihiyu, fat and alive they will be. You know what that means? That we have to exhibit a feeling of ra'ananut, feeling of excitement when it comes to Torah and to Hashem, so that those around us will look upon us and they'll say, wow, what an amazing thing I see over here. I wish I could feel this way. Torah must be so beautiful if this is the way this lady feels about it. The holy Baal Shem Tov, alav hashalom, who interestingly was niftar, his yahrzeit is during Chag HaShavuot. He said that when Am Yisrael stood at Har Sinai, the entire nation saw the sounds. V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot. What does it mean to see the sounds? The Baal Shem Tov provides an answer in the form of a mashal. He says there was once a man who played an instrument beautifully. His playing was so pleasant and so sweet that whoever heard his playing couldn't help but just get up and dance. But those who stood in the distance, they were not able to hear the melodious sounds of this beautiful instrument. To them, They just saw the people in the distance. To them, it looked like the ones who were dancing were crazy. But sure enough, those people also started to dance. Says the Baal Shem Tov, this was Ma'amad Har Sinai. The Jews stood far from the mountain and they were not able to hear. But they saw an army of malachim swaying and dancing. And you know what happened? The Jewish people also began to dance. Ladies, if you would dance from joy that you're coming to these shiurim, if you would dance from joy that you're a Jewish mother and a Jewish wife, if you would be elated with simcha at the fact that you're a bat melech, every person who would see you would say, wow, I would love to attend shiurim. I would love to be a good mother and a holy Jewish wife. Look what a happy mother this is. Look what an amazing Jewish lady this is. Wow. When people see you dancing from joy concerning your role as a Jewish woman in Am Yisrael, no explanations will be necessary. So tonight, ladies, we're going to dance as a result of Matan Torah and the shiurim that you attend, because I want you to walk out of here jumping for joy to the extent that whoever sees you is going to say, you must have been at the Rabanit Cohen's shiur for sure. I want you to feel that way. I want them to feel what you should feel. That's the kind of religious coercion that you should be involved in. Because Har Sinai was a religious coercion that took place, if you think about it. It says HaKadosh Baruch Hu held a mountain over our heads and he gave us an ultimatum. Either we accept the Torah or we get buried underneath the mountain. Now ladies, I don't know about you, but whenever I read this part, I'm shocked. What kind of strong arming is this? What is this? Chachamim say, you know what kind of strong arming this is? It was the most extraordinary kind of coercion. How so? Chachamim tell us Hashem made the mountain appear so beautiful and so wondrous that everyone felt they had no other choice. Some of you might be familiar with this kind of concept if you've ever been on a diet. You decide to go on a killer diet where you basically refuse to touch anything except for maybe sprouts, grass, some poisonous mushrooms maybe here and there. But then one fine day, your neighbor brings you a sample of one of her cheesecakes and suddenly your bechira chofshit flies out the window. Chachamim say that's what happened at Har Sinai. The mountain was held over the Jewish people's head as a coercion, true. But it was a very tempting kind of coercion where we saw the beauty of the mountain and we thought, wow, this is so amazing. This cake looks so incredible. Even the coercion of Hashem was done through some form of exciting feeling. We need to have the feeling that the Baalei Tshuva have for Torah. Let me tell you a story about an unruly young man named Chaim who was not religious, and he had all kinds of immodest girlfriends in Eretz Yisrael. And he lived in a particular city in Eretz Yisrael where many people there tried to make him religious all the time. One Friday afternoon, a frum man who'd usually yell and scream about the fact that the Chiloni guys in the neighborhood are bothering him on Shabbat with all their antics and all the driving and everything. He decided, you know what, I'm going to take a different approach. Instead of yelling and screaming at these Chilonim, he decided to invite a few of them to his house for Shabbat. Now this Chaim guy, he wasn't thrilled about the idea, but he put a kippah on his head and he joined his chevra. What did these young men see? First of all, they saw a beautifully set table with the most beautiful dishes, the most beautiful cutlery, flowers. They heard the beautiful zmirot of the children. They saw the kavod that this man gave to his wife and the honor that she gave him. They heard the excitement of the Baal Habayit as he gave over the Divrei Torah. They felt the enthusiasm of the children as each of them explained what they learned that week in school, the parasha. There was so much love of Shabbat and Torah in that room that when Chaim and his friends left that house that night, they started yelling at all the Chilonim in the neighborhood, "Hey, it's Shabbat, why are you driving?" That Chaim became Harav Chaim Mizrahi, the husband of the Rabanit Yemima Mizrahi. She tells this story, with his permission, of course. What do we learn from this? It's what he told us. This is the feeling that we have to have. And that's the feeling I want you to have when you leave from here. You should say out loud with excitement, Shabbat! Shavuot is coming! Matan Torah! Cholat Avani. When you're happy, you become contagious. And everyone around you is affected by the joy of the love that you feel. Rachel, Rabbi Akiva's wife, she left her father's house and all his wealth in order to marry a shepherd. Why? Because she wanted him to learn Torah. Tell me, she wasn't personifying the idea of Cholat Ahava? Of course she was. Wasn't Ruth HaMoaviyah, who was the star of Megillat Ruth, Cholat Ahava? She also left her father's palace and her royal position. She left it all in order to convert to a nation that she wasn't too familiar with. It was a nation that was suffering from poverty at the time. It was a nation that experienced tremendous humiliation at the time. Wasn't Ruth then Cholat Ahava? Didn't she do what she did because of her love? What about Hannah, Shmuel HaNavi's mother? Hannah was not a Cholat Ahava. For 19 years she was barren and she kept hoping that she'd bear a child. People told her to stop dreaming, to stop hoping, and to just be happy with her husband. Ladies, these days that lead up to Shavuot are days for those who are Cholot Ahava. I'm urging you to remain Cholat Ahava. Because that's what's going to keep you yearning and hoping and dreaming. Because Chachamim tell us that in the zchut of Benot Yerushalayim, those who still believe that they'll one day have all of their wishes fulfilled by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, those who still cling to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with emunah, believing that their empty cup is one day going to be filled with salvation, those Benot Yerushalayim, says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, will be the builders of Yerushalayim. Don't give up on your dreams. Why? Rav Chaim Tzadok of Lublin, Alav HaShalom, says that these days prior to Shavuot are auspicious to the extent that everything that you desire and all your dreams, if you don't budge from that emunah that your wishes are going to come true, if you don't compromise on those hopes, because of your great love for Hashem, the Or HaChaim promises you that you will indeed be blessed with all those things. Do you believe this? You know what's special about this time period prior to Chag HaShavuot? Chachamim say that this is the Chag that urges you to want and to receive. How so? Well, what's the main item that we use on Pesach? What's the main item? Matzah, yafeh. What's the main item we use on Sukkot? The Sukkah. What do we use on Shavuot?
Cheesecake.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm like, no, that's not coming. What do we use on Shavuot? Nothing. Who said nothing? Very smart. Nothing. Rabbanim teach us that on Chag HaShavuot, you're only receiving. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the Torah every single year, and it's not only the Torah He's giving you. You see, whoever bestows a gift, he does so with an ayin tova, with a good eye. In other words, during Chag HaShavuot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is kivyachol in a very giving mood, and He might just give you everything that you ask for. this is the time when Hashem wants to give you everything that you've been dreaming about. So I want to read you now the words of Rav Chaim Tzadok Cohen, alav shalom, so you could appreciate this idea. I translated the words for you. Listen to his words. The days prior to Matan Torah are days of Ratzon. And if there's an enthusiasm in the heart, a hope, an anticipation, and a wanting, Hashem will give. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? But you need to feel and to possess that excitement. You have to have that hope and that feeling of cholat ahavani. There was once, I was now recently in Eretz Yisrael. When did I go? February time. No, it was? No, February time. And I was in a big place there. There must have been 500 ladies there. And an older single girl, after the whole event, I sat with some of the ladies there till 3 in the morning, and we were schmoozing and talking and chizuk and all that. And one single girl came over to me and she said to me, you know, you talk about loving Hashem, you want me to feel ahavat Hashem, but how could I be cholat ahava when I hope? And I continue to hope, and I keep telling myself that my chatan will come, and I'm not compromising on my dreams, she said. I want someone smart, I want someone good-hearted, I want someone spiritual, someone who's good-looking, pleasant. I keep hoping, just like you say, and I have faith. But how much can one hope already? Shouldn't I just stop dreaming? What's going to hold me together when I feel like I'm falling apart? What's going to keep me holding on so that I could continue to have hope? I felt bad for her. She was already an older single. So I told that lady the following. I said, look, you know, Chachamim tell us that what's kept the Jewish people strong and holding on were the women who dreamt about Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim was engraved in their hearts. I told her, when you feel you're losing hope, the Malbim, alav shalom, suggests that you should find your way to Yerushalayim and stand at her walls. When you do, you'll suddenly feel that you can stand all on your own, just like that wall has stood for thousands of years, despite the destruction, despite the sadness and the emptiness that surrounds it. And I said to her, don't forget what David HaMelech alav shalom wrote in Sefer Tehillim. Omdot hayu raglenu. Our feet were standing where? Bish'araich Yerushalayim. At your gates, Yerushalayim. The Malbim says that the walls of Yerushalayim give us the strength to stand on our own 2 feet, because it's there that we receive the Kadosh Baruch Hu's love each time that we journey to Yerushalayim during the Shalosh Regalim. When we go to Yerushalayim and we see its walls, somehow we receive strength to be able to stand on our own 2 feet. Why? Because when you give up and you think you can no longer handle your reality, you arrive at the wall of Yerushalayim and you see an ancient city. You see this ancient wall that's the last of 4 walls to remain standing after all those years. And it stands there looking so regal and so majestic. And you ask this wall, says the Malbim, you say, tell me, Yerushalayim, how do you handle all of this? How? How much you endured. You were captured and then you were redeemed. You were mistreated and now you remain alone. Whoever comes to you puts their hand on you. They put all of their sorrows and all of the troubles on you. How are you able to stand for this? How are you able to handle this Yerushalayim? Says the Malbim. And then we have to say, if you are able to handle it, so can I. You hear this? Ladies, when you go to the Kotel, Even in your mind, if you go to the Kotel, you can go to your Kotel in the mind. You don't have to say a word. Just look at these ancient stones and say, wow, how are you able to remain a queen? How did you remain so hopeful? And then the Malbim says something amazing. He says, and the wall of Yerushalayim whispers in your heart and says, how? Without you, I wouldn't be able to be hopeful. Please don't leave me. Please come back to see me. Please come back to talk to me. Is that beautiful? He says, you know what Yerushalayim wants? That when you arrive at the walls, you shouldn't be selfish and only talk about how you are and what you need. I don't feel so good with my life. My finances are lacking. My children need chizuk. I need parnasa. No. Stop telling the wall how you are. Instead, ask the wall of Yerushalayim, how are you? How are you feeling? Rav Chaim of Volozhin, Avlav Shalom, and the Holy Chida say, when you do that, you create such a tremendous zechut. Go to the Kotel. You have to go with tremendous heartache and concern for this wall because of the pain that she feels. Daven for the sake of Yerushalayim and say, Hashem, I am davening for the pain of Yerushalayim because she's like an amazing, beautiful young woman who dreams to be a bride. But now she's in a state of singlehood. She's alone. And when you do that, you're creating a tremendous merit for yourself. In Sefer Tehillim, we recite the words, Im eshkachech Yerushalayim, tishkach yamini. David HaMelech tells all of us that if we were ever to forget Yerushalayim, it's as though we've forgotten how to utilize our right hand. It says, Tidbak leshoni lechiki im lo eskerechi. May my tongue cling to my palate if I do not remember Yerushalayim. And then what do we say? Im lo aale et Yerushalayim al rosh simchati. You know what Chachamim say these words mean? Let me read you what they say. Im lo akdim et zichron Yerushalayim lifnei tchilat simchati. Which means, woe to me if I won't preface the remembrance of Yerushalayim prior to declaring my own happiness. You hear what? Every Jew has to long for Yerushalayim and mourn the loss of the Bet HaMikdash. Think about it. We daven for Yerushalayim when we bench Birkat HaMazon, when we daven on Shabbat, in our daily tefillot. Even when we paint our homes, we leave an empty space in order to recall Yerushalayim. Under the chuppah, a glass is broken in solemn remembrance of Yerushalayim. And when a Jew dies, the earth of Yerushalayim is placed inside his coffin. We all concluded our Pesach Seder, and we conclude the Yom Kippur services proclaiming the words, Leshana haba b'Yerushalayim habenuya. We're all in love with Yerushalayim. We can't and we should never, ever, ever remove her from our thoughts. Because Yerushalayim is more than just a beautiful city. It's a Jewish concept that affects the heart of Jewish life in every age. And the Kotel, which is considered one of the most sacred spots in the world, stands there majestically waiting for you. As a matter of fact, the Midrash Rabbah, the Midrash in Shmot Rabbah informs us that even though the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, the Shekhinah HaKadosha never left the Kotel HaMa'aravi. This wall is so special because it's the closest wall to where the Kodesh HaKodashim stood. And Chachamim revealed to us that every night, behind the Kotel HaMa'aravi, Rachel Imenu sits there and cries. And she says, I want a home. I want my children to have a home. And we're told that the word Ma'arav stands for something. It's Rashi Tevot, for the words Rachel mevaka al baneha. You hear this? Chachamim tell us, when you arrive at that wall, the Kotel HaMa'aravi, and you inquire about Yerushalayim, Sha'alu Shlom Yerushalayim, when you daven concerning her sadness and what she's lacking, you're going to receive what you're lacking. Why? The Volozhin Rav Alav Shalom explains that when you'll come to the point in life that you understand that your sadness is her sadness, that your single status is her single status, that your barrenness is her barrenness, that your loneliness is her loneliness, that's when you'll receive what you ask for. Why? Because the holy Esh Kodesh Alav Shalom says that there is no longer a personal or private pain in the world. This is what he told his Hasidim during the Holocaust. He said to them, stop thinking that your pain is the only pain out there in the world. The personal sorrow is over. Every sorrow that a Jew experiences is a mere sample of all the pain that Yerushalayim feels. It's just an example of the pain Hashem feels. And He's sending us a little bit of sadness so that we should remember. We should remember and we should say, it's really Hashem who stands behind my nisayon. He gave me this difficulty so that I should daven on behalf of Him and Yerushalayim. He wants me to feel a little pain so that the next time I face that wall, the next time I stand in front of the Kotel, I should put my hand on that wall and I should comfort her. Hashem wants me to daven for her, that she should experience only good. Because when you think about it, when people look at the Kotel from the outside, it looks very perfect. It looks so perfect. The wall seems very social. Everybody's there from all over the world. She's such a social wall. She appears as though everything is fine with her. But the Holy Esh Kodesh says, but how does she really feel? Does she cry? When I look upon the Kotel, my eyes see the perfection of Yerushalayim. Specifically because that wall is surrounded by a multitude of people. Yerushalayim always looks so beautiful. Yes, says the Esh Kodesh, but do you feel peacefulness, Yerushalayim? When you come home after all the hoo-ha of that day, how do you really feel? And Yerushalayim says, oh, you sought after my well-being? You cared about my feelings? You're going to now see what I'm going to bestow upon you. I am going to help give you such peacefulness in your palace. You are going to have such shalva be'armonotayich. Who do we learn this from? From Hannah, Shmuel HaNavi's mother. She was barren, we said, for 19 years. She always davened for a baby. How did she daven? The pasuk says, "Vechana hi medaberet al liba." She was speaking to her heart. What does it mean, medaberet al liba? Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra alav shalom explains that the organs that a woman possesses near the heart, v'amevin yavin, are the organs that provide her with the ability to nurse a baby. So Hannah stands there and tells Hashem, Ribono shel olam, of everything you created, there's nothing you created in vain. You created eyes to enable one to see. You created ears so that a person could hear. You created feet so that we could walk. And you created organs so that I could nurse. What was the purpose of giving me the body of a woman if I'm unable to fulfill my role as a woman? This womb is for what purpose? Why did you make me an ineffective woman? For what? There's nobody to nurse. There's no baby that grows inside of me. So for what purpose did you make me a woman? Therefore I beg you, Hashem, please give me a child so that I could nurse him. V'chana hi medaberet al liba. But suddenly, she says, wait a second. For 19 years, my female organs were not functioning. Why am I speaking to my heart? Let me speak. El lev Yerushalayim. Let me speak to the heart, not my heart, to the heart of Yerushalayim. I am going to speak to the heart of Yerushalayim. What does she do? The Midrash tells us in the 19th year of her barrenness, she goes to the mountain and she davens a different kind of tefillah. This time she says, if I'm experiencing so much pain that I have no child to embrace, I could imagine the pain that you feel, Hashem. You must be in so much pain concerning your children. I am now going to pray for you, Hashem. I want a child whose whole being is Yerushalayim. I'm going to sanctify him for the sake of Yerushalayim, and I'm going to give him to you all the days of his life. And Yerushalayim said, you prayed on my behalf? You inquired on my behalf? You shall prosper, and you will have a healthy womb that will hold a child, and Hashem will answer your tefillah. And sure enough, Hannah becomes pregnant with Shmuel HaNavi, who's, by the way, buried alongside his mother in the city of Yerushalayim. And dozens and hundreds of people flock to Shmuel HaNavi's kever. The Midrash tells us, one day, Hannah went to a shop in order to buy a piece of fabric for the child in the womb. The store owner says, I'm buying a fabric for my son. The store owner says, what son? What are you talking about? She says, oh, very soon I'm going to have a child. The store owner thought she was crazy. He thought she's one of those girls who buys, a talit, a kiddush cup, a set of shas, and every possible form of Judaica item for her future chatan. You know those? Anyhow, he provides her with the fabric, and she sews a little coat, a me'il, for her child. She sews and sews, and she's davening for every stage of this child's life. I hope he's born with joy, stitch. He should merit to be in a good school, stitch. I pray he marries a good woman, another stitch. He should be Zaycha to be a Navi in Israel, another stitch. He should inspire us all with a deep love for Yerushalayim. He should be buried in a good place, another stitch and another stitch. And then she gave birth to Shmuel HaNavi, and she dressed him with this me'il, with this cloak that she sewed. What do the Chachamim say about this coat? This coat is the one he was born to, raised with, and prophesied with. When Shaul HaMelech conjured up the neshama of Shmuel, what did he see? A man wearing a me'il. What is this coat? Rabbanim teach us that this coat enveloped him throughout his whole life with all the tefillot that his mother davened concerning every stage of his life. You hear this? Ladies, the more you daven ahead of time for good things to happen to your children, that's how far-reaching your tefillot will be. It says, kechitzim beyad gibor, like arrows in the hand of a mighty man, ken b'nei haneurim, so are the sons of one's youth. Your tefillot, they accelerate forward with great speed. You can't start davening for shidduch for your daughter on her 50th birthday, when she's already 50 and she's desperate already. You can't start then. You should daven for your children from the very, very beginning. So Shmuel grows up, wrapped up in the coat of his mother. This woman prayed for everything that concerned him, and she received what she asked for. And what do people say to her? You're a dreamer. You must be drunk. You think you're having a child. But Hannah didn't falter from her emunah. She didn't compromise on her dreams. She was completely engrossed in her love for Hashem. She was cholat ahava. That's how she received what she wanted. So I now want to share something with you that's very frightening. Very frightening. But we have to say it. Ladies, we're all familiar with the words Shema beni musar avicha ve'al titosh torat imecha. You familiar with these words? Shema beni musar avicha. The son has to heed the musar, the teachings of the father. Ve'al titosh, do not abandon torat imecha, your mother's Torah. Listen to these words again. Ve'al titosh torat imecha. Chachamim revealed to us that when a child notesh et haTorah, when he abandons the Torah, it's attributed to the mother. It's the mother's fault. Ve'al titosh goes on the torat imecha. If you left religion, it's because of the Torah of your mother. Why? It's a scary thing if you think about it. A child abandons his faith because at some point his mother abandoned him in her thoughts. What does that mean? Maybe there was a moment in that mother's mind where she thought to herself, this child is never going to succeed in his studies. Maybe for a second she thought, I don't see my daughter being a real social bird. Maybe she thought, I don't know, but something about this kid is so slow. Maybe she thought this child here doesn't seem to have the same grace as his other siblings. Chachamim say we're never allowed to have negative thoughts concerning our children. There shouldn't be one thought that minimizes the child in her mind, in the mother's mind. Many mothers make this mistake because they want to be proud Jewish mothers. But that's what you ask for every Friday night. When you daven by the nerot, you say, V'zakeni legadel banim. May I have the merit to raise children. But do you know what those words really mean? You're saying, V'zakeni. Hashem, please give me the zechut legadel banim. Give me the zechut to make my children big in my eyes. Give me the ability to always judge them favorably and see the greatness, the gadlut that's hidden inside them. V'zakeni legadel banim. When we abandon our children in our minds, we're misusing our roles as mothers. And if you're not going to clothe your children with the coat of your tefillot, how are they going to succeed? Pray for your children and believe in their maximum potential. Try and envision them as big, as grand, as amazing. Dream the biggest dreams that you can on behalf of your children, just like Hannah did. V'zakeni legadel banim. Yeah. Chag HaShavuot is a grand Chag where Chachamim teach us that we should spend time up until then, and including then, davening for our children who we want should grow up to be Ohavei Hashem. Daven for each of your children and for their specific needs. This is one of the most important jobs as a mother. Cloak your child with your tefillot. The weeks prior to Shavuot now is the week of dreams and its fulfillment, of running to the kotel even in your minds, and of being cholat ahava. These are the weeks where you have to stop being accustomed to Torah and begin living Torah with excitement, with great love. Nobody said Torah was going to be easy and fun, but it's tov. It's good. You know what good is? Good isn't something that comes immediately. What does it say in the Midrash of Pirkei Avot? Ashrecha v'tov lach. Fortunate are you, and it's good for you. Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. Fortunate in this world, but v'tov lach la'olam haba. The good will come to you only in the world to come. As a matter of fact, in Megillat Ruth, there's a man named Tov. Remember Tov? Tov was supposed to marry Ruth. He could have been the father of Mashiach. But since he had short-term vision, it didn't seem good in his eyes to marry her because she was a convert and she was a widow and there was great controversy concerning her conversion. So he did not marry her. What a tipesh he was. For the immediate good, you lost eternal good. Ladies, Torah is not necessarily fun. Torah is good. You know what that means? It means that there is no good out there than Torah. It's just that you don't see it in the short run. But in the long run, what do we say? Tov li Torat picha me'alfei zahav v'chasef. You know what these words mean? It means that there are certain restrictions and guidelines that are for my own good. Tov li Torat picha. It's for my benefit. The Torah is the absolute good, even if I don't see it immediately. Even if I feel restricted. Tov li Torat picha. It's good for me. Because ladies, what's malchut? And what's a queen? You think that a queen is someone who could do just about anything she wants? A queen is the most restricted person in the world. She's chained in every direction and she has to show that restraint. It says that the Jewish people stood in front of Har Sinai, neged hahar, against the mountain. And Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, alav shalom, explains that. What does that mean, neged hahar? Why didn't it say leyad hahar, mul hahar? And Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch explains that Am Yisrael felt the resistance of Torah, the hitnagdut, neged, that resistance that we sometimes have. But he also says something that is emet always requires some form of resistance. And to tackle that resistance, you need koach, you need strength. What does that mean? When Hashem gave the Torah, He offered it to all the other nations of the world. He offered it to the Ishmaelim, who asked Him, well, what's written in the Torah? And Hashem said, what's written? It's written, Lo tirtzach, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill, they said. Sorry, not for us, we live by the sword. Not for us. So Hashem offered the Torah to the French. They asked him, what does the Torah say? Hashem says, the Torah says you can't eat snails. What do you mean we can't eat snails? No, we love eating snails. It's a delicacy in our menu. And they also refused. Everybody refused. Chachamim want to know, why did Hashem challenge these nations in the most difficult areas of their life? In the areas where there's the most hitnagdut, the most resistance? That's not very fair. He could have made the Torah more attractive by highlighting something, lemashal, that the Ishmaelim excel in, like tzniut, hachnasat orchim, kibud avaim, they're very good at that. Instead, Hashem says, listen here, I'm the groom, you're the bride, and the Torah is the marriage contract. You know what that teaches us? A very good Shlom Bayit lesson, by the way. It teaches us that a marital relationship will forever be challenging in the areas that you're most sensitive in. You're never going to see that before the wedding. Even if you know your husband since he's a little boy, the day after Sheva Brachot, you might just wake up and say, what did I do here? How did I not realize that he was a cheapskate when I was dating him? How did I miss the fact that he's disorganized? I'm a night owl. He's an early bird. He's an early sleeper. How did this happen to me? Chachamim say so. Look what happened over here. Matan Torah was a wedding. The pasuk says, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha kehilat Yaakov. And they tell us, don't read it as Morasha, which means an inheritance. Ella, read it rather Me'orasa, which means engaged. A marriage will always challenge you where it's most difficult for you, where there's going to be hitnagdut. And there are going to be times where you're left standing there, neged hahar. You're going to be standing there with this resistance. You love to talk, he likes silence. You're organized, he's a slob. You love to shop, he's a man. That's the way God created the world. Why? Because the entire idea of Torah, like your husband or like a child, requires acceptance. That's why it's called Kabbalat HaTorah. Every year we experience the giving of the Torah by Hashem, and each year for 25 hours Hashem says, look, I want to give you the wisdom of Torah. Take it because it's tov, it's good for you. Are you willing to accept? You have to accept. Ladies, so many of us have to open that closed chamber in our hearts. Because many of us say, oh, I love Hashem, I love Hashem. I'll dedicate my life for Him. But here in this little chamber, you can't enter. Concerning me, this one mitzvah, it's too much for me, a tremendous sacrifice. Chachamim say, no, open your heart to Hashem. Let Him in to every nook and cranny and every crack and crevice. So Shavuot is about Kabbalah. It's the Chag of acceptance, and that's the essence of being a queen. A queen or a king have nothing for themselves. Chachamim say that everything that a king possesses comes from what he receives from his loyal subjects. A monarch cannot rule without a nation, without loyal subjects. There is no Kineret Sarakon without Talmidot. What would I be without you? If nobody came to sit here, would I give a shield to the walls? Hashem says, on Shavuot, you have to prepare yourself. Till Shavuot, you must prepare yourself. To do what? Lekabel velekabel. To receive the Torah and to accept it. How? With love, with excitement, with fervor, cholat ahava, with this lovesick bug, and spread it to the world. So Chag HaShavuot is a day of acceptance, and when you accept with love, that's when you're going to receive with love. Yeh ratzon, that you should be granted, first and foremost, the zechut to be royal queens, women who accept, women who are ra'ananot, who are filled with excitement for Torah and for Hashem, women who are cholot ahava, so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can shower upon you all the berachot, yeshuvot, and all the tov that the Torah has to offer you. And Be'ezrat Hashem, as a result of all that love that you feel and you're going to exhibit, Hashem should redeem you and all of Am Yisrael, so that we should be zeicha, first and foremost, to see Yerushalayim rebuilt and standing in her full glory, as the words of Yeshaya HaNavi come to life. What are his words? V'haya be'achit hayamim, and it shall come to pass in the end of days, that's now. Nachon yihiyeh har bet Hashem berosh ha'arim, the mountain of God's house shall be set over all the other mountains. V'nisa migevaot v'naharu elav kol hagoyim, it will be lifted high above the hills, and all the nations of the world shall come streaming to it. Ve'halchu amim rabim ve'amru, and many nations will come and they will say, Lechu v'na'alel har Hashem el bet Elokei Yaakov. The goyim are going to come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of God, to the house of the God of Jacob. Ve'yorenu midrachav v'nelcha be'orchotav, and let us learn from God's ways and let us walk in His path. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah u'devar Hashem miyerushalayim. For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah and Hashem's words from Yerushalayim. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev ve'lo yilmedu od milchama. No nation shall lift up its sword against another, neither will they practice war anymore. Bet Yaakov lechu v'nelcha be'or Hashem. Bet Yaakov, that's the Benot Yerushalayim. Come and let us go in the light of Hashem. And so it shall be, ladies. Yerushalayim will become the spiritual capital of all mankind, and it will be in your zechut. Amen ken.